Nothing.
Okay, then don't be so accusatory.
I will accuse what I want to accuse.
That's fair.
Uh, so what have you been doing this last week?
Let's see. I had a 5-day weekend.
A 5-day weekend? Why?
Juneteenth.
Yeah, but 5 days?
We had the option to take Father's Day off.
Okay.
I mean, I don't need it for those reasons, but I figured I have Monday off, and I have Thursday, Friday, Saturday off. Why not just take the other day off?
Man,
You know what I mean?
kind of a nice little vacation.
It was kind of nice. It was the thing that was like I didn't do anything, so like that was
Oh
fun.
no,
But also it didn't seem like enough.
it never does.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
hell, I was gone for all of last week, and it doesn't seem like enough either. Even the last 3 days that I had there when I came back from North Dakota felt like I just needed more time away from work.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I need to do one of those like um vacation and then a cool down.
Yeah. Right.
Because every time I go on vacation, it just feels like I'm doing so much that it's not really like
It's not
relaxing.
really relaxing and stuff, so I need a vacation after my vacation just to rest from my vacation.
That's why I want to do a cruise
Cruise would be fun. I've thought about it too,
where like,
but I have a lot of reservations about it.
well, yeah, me too. I want to do one of those like I don't want to say fancy cruises, but like one of those like destination ones like Alaskan or something like that, where like it's just a chill time versus like you go somewhere, have to deboard, go do a bunch of stuff, then get back on the boat. Like that seems like that's more work than I want to do. I want to be
Yeah.
like, I want to sit on a boat that's gonna drive around. I can see pretty shit from the boat,
Hmm.
but then I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I'd like to do something like that too. The Alaskan cruise would be pretty cool because you get to drive by like the glaciers and stuff. And you get
Yeah.
to see whales and shit. Uh, I have read about. I don't know if you'd call it a cruise though, but you could book passage, I should say, on ships that drive by Antarctica. That'd be pretty cool to see. I'm
Huh?
trying to think of anything else.
Do they not have Antarctic cruises? I never thought about that.
I don't think they have Antarctic cruises because there's not a whole lot, as far as I'm aware, to really go see down there. But I
Yeah.
know that you can book passage on ships that sail around there in a more official capacity in some cases. Because I think I knew somebody that did it for they the ship was from National Geographic, if I recall right. So it was there for a particular reason, but you could like actually book a cabin there and sail with the crew
It's like a way for them to
there,
generate revenue for whatever they're doing.
whatever they're doing there. Yeah. I think that was what's his name? Was that Daphne's nephew, or cousin? I forgot his name.
Oh, John Glassman.
John. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's something that I saw him do.
Well, my old tattoo artist, Rip. Anyways, his one of his brothers was a firefighter in Antarctica.
That's got to be the easiest job ever.
See, I said the same thing, and then I found out a little info that I didn't know about Antarctica.
There's cold fire.
So no, it's so cold that the air and the moisture in wood
Yeah.
cause it to be more brittle and actually lights on fire more.
It's so cold. There's basically no moisture
Yeah.
in the air.
So things burn way easier. So there's a lot of like non-wood structures, but because certain things have to be made out of wood, because metal also freezes and gets even colder, a lot of houses are still made with wood. and it's really
Okay.
expensive because you have to import said wood.
Everything.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So he had a lot of work, but Bob always said there wasn't a lot of firefighters in Antarctica.
Hmm.
And the other thing too, his other brother builds gambling video games, like the slot machines and electronic ones. That was his job. He was designing and built. He builds those,
That's cool.
and he actually gave Bob the James Bond, decommissioned James Bond one that was had to be. I guess it was retired after a certain point. It was the Pierce Brosnan one, so it was a
Nice.
GoldenEye one.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was pretty rad. But
That's
his
super
brother
dope.
designs those. He also knows how to most of them like work, and like he knows the secrets. I don't want to say cheating because it's not really cheating because it's like it's just a thing. But he knows which ones are like a soft machine and which ones are like a hard machine.
Okay. So it
Because
would
the
pay out more often
yep. So
than
he
another one.
yeah they'd be walking through Vegas. He goes, you want to win a couple bucks? Play that one. You want to lose a couple bucks? Play that one. You never want to win? Play that one. I was like, damn, really? He's like, yep.
Right? Way to take the fun out of it.
I was like, you are a buzzkill for sure. But also, which one gives me money?
Hmm. That's cool. To be fair, though, I probably would go be a firefighter in Antarctica.
Right? Seems legit too. Like it just seems like
You'd have to get paid pretty well, I would assume. Not like enough to like make you super fucking rich. I don't assume that any type of scientist is making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year doing that type of stuff. But I mean, it's got to be more than what I'm making now.
but also, I'm guessing it's probably cheaper to live in Antarctica.
Yeah, because everything would be there and paid for you already.
Yeah,
You'd be basically just collecting a paycheck and storing it somewhere.
and just paying for food. I'm guessing.
Probably. I'm trying to think of that. I've seen documentaries on people, the people that do live in Antarctica. It is a very difficult place to live in,
Oh, I'm sure.
especially if it starts to, if the weather conditions change pretty badly and you're low on supplies and nothing can land there because of the weather conditions.
Yeah. Then you're kind of hopefully
Kind
not.
of stuck there for a while,
Yeah.
waiting for resupply. And it's a very small group of people there. Like there's not hundreds of people there. There's like tens of people there.
Yeah.
So you have to be that type of person that can not only get along with the same people day in and day out, but also with the fact that those are the only people there day in and day out.
Yeah. You're probably not getting a lot of tourists.
Oh God, no, yeah, yeah. Not getting any video game internet either there,
Oh man.
right?
Maybe I don't want to go to Antarctica for that.
I still would.
I mean, maybe to
Build a
visit, but not to like to
build a
live.
computer out there, and that thing could just sit out in the open and just cool itself.
Actually, would that? Well, I mean, depending on the temperature, I guess would that actually cause more problems though,
It might cause more problems with all the moisture and whatnot.
or the lack of moisture?
Well, the lack of moisture, but I imagine that in my head I was literally just like not even having a heatsink on the CPU, just throwing the computer outside on a bench or something, and you just run cables inside, and you're like, look, it's air cooled.
Air cooled. Why
It's
way too
air-cooled.
much?
Yeah. Then just snow falls on it, short something out, and you're done.
Yeah. Hey, one of those mineral oil machines, would that work like that? Like would that freeze?
I don't think mineral oil. Well, I mean, I say that, but it would just depend on the freezing point of mineral oil.
Yeah.
It probably, I would say, probably doesn't freeze at whatever temperature Antarctica is,
Yeah.
but it probably becomes so viscous that it would be useless.
Yeah, as long as I guess as long as the heat exchange worked enough as it slowly trudged through, because I know it circulates, because of the breakdown of materials of the
So,
mineral itself. But
According to the top post from Google, mineral oil has a freezing point of -4 degrees Celsius.
that seems cold. Anytime it's Celsius, it's going to be one of the two things is going to be extreme.
The current, well, I shouldn't say the current temperature. So Antarctica's average annual temperature ranges from about -10 degrees C on the coast to -60 degrees at its highest parts in the interior. Near the coast, the temperature can exceed +10 degrees Celsius in the summer and fall below -40 degrees Celsius in the winter. So it is not probably going to work at any given time.
Well, if you're outside though, right? But if you had it in your house isn't
Oh yeah, if you had
-4.
it in your hut or whatever
Yeah.
you use to live in Antarctica, obviously the temperature there has to be suitable for a person.
Yeah.
So we're assuming, somewhere around 60 to 70, 80 degrees inside the house. Then yeah, your PC on the inside will definitely work without issues.
Yeah, you're not putting that thing outside.
No.
I mean,
Then you create a vent, and you put a vent that with like a fan that brings in that cold air and then exhausts it outside through another vent.
So instead of having the intercooler on there, you just literally have a vent from outside into your computer.
Yep.
My intercooler is outside. Wait, what?
Actually, this is even better an idea because a lot of gaming computers these days would just generate heat. You use that to heat your house.
I mean, that would fucking work because I mean, back in the day with my older computer, and I had my computer case was a literal heat sink. It was designed to be a heat sink, but the exhaust on it, dude. Every now and then you'd be like, I have to stop playing video games because it is
because it would heat up your fucking room,
pumping out some fucking hot air I don't want to deal with.
Mm-hmm. What up, Lyra? What you doing down there?
What up, Lyra? What up, girl?
She's underneath the desk.
Oh,
My brother's in Canada right now.
Oh yeah, is that this week?
Yeah. So we got back from North Dakota on Friday, and he flew out Saturday night. It was supposed to be Saturday morning, but the airline was literally like canceling flights all throughout the day. Like he literally initially had a flight. I think it was supposed to be 10 a.m. on Saturday morning or something like that. They canceled it the day before. They gave him another flight that was a little bit later. So he found out about the second flight the next day on Saturday to start, booking it down. They canceled that flight that day and moved him to another flight later that night, somewhere around 10, 11 o'clock at night. Like everything was so fucky with them moving around his flight schedule that one app would show one ticket and another app or like the official website for the airline would show a totally different ticket. Like they were not keeping up with each other with how fast they were canceling and switching flights around.
Sounds alright.
Yeah. It was really fucky.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I felt like I was about to die on the flight in.
Oh no. Wait, from
North Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah. So first off, we were flying Allegiant. If you've never flown Allegiant, I think it only flies out of Mesa Gateway Airport. Yeah. And I don't mean only in the sense of nationally. I mean only in the sense of from Arizona, at least in the Phoenix metropolitan area.
Gotcha. So they're not Sky Harbor.
They're not Sky Harbor. They are Mesa Gateway Airport only. And it is. Have you ever been to Mesa Gateway Airport?
No. I almost had to go there once, but ended up going to the Scottsdale Airport instead.
So unlike every other airport that I have been to, you actually walk out on the tarmac.
Same as Scottsdale.
Okay, same as Scottsdale to get to your plane.
Yep.
You board your plane through the little walkway thing, then you take off, and the flight there perfectly fine. The only problem that we had was that we took the dog with us, and
you took Lyra?
We took her with us.
Oh, I was going to ask how that worked out.
It actually it ended up working out really well, especially when we got there. She was absolutely awesome. Man, she loved big backyards and green grass and just having the time of her life with
Oh, I'm
everybody
sure.
there.
She's never seen it before.
She does not like being shoved into a bag at all.
Would you?
No, I guess not.
Okay, just checking.
But that's why so my brother went and got her the little medication that the doctor would give, your pet. They would go to the doctor to get, they knock him out, with this drug, not like a hammer or anything. That was really mean.
It's just a hammer shaped like a pill.
Yeah, exactly. But they're like, you can give her half and see how it affects her. If it doesn't affect her, give her the other half. So basically, a full pill every 12 hours is basically what they said that you could do. So we're like, okay, this should knock her out. We'll just give her half a pill on our way there to the airport, because it's like an hour drive from where we live. She should be, with the drive and the pill, she should just be like sleeping by the time we get there. Half a pill did jack shit to her. She fought it the whole entire way. So we get to the airport, and my brother feeds her the other half of the pill, just hoping like knock out. No, it doesn't do shit to her.
Please.
She fights it the whole entire way. But we managed to have her in the backpack when we get there. Unfortunately, if you've never traveled with a pet or animal or anything,
nope, just myself.
They have to see the animal fully in. They have to know that the animal can go fully in the backpack when you check in for your flight. But they can't run the animal through the X-ray machine, so you have to take her out of the backpack to go through security.
Oh, because they have to scan the bag for.
Because they have to scan the bag and everything. So now she's outside of the bag,
losing her mind,
and she is the hardest thing to shove back into a bag when she's like wired and also on drugs. We finally get her into the bag after much forcing, zip everything up, and she's whining off and on. Not loud, but she doesn't like being in there. And we were hoping that she just falls asleep on the airplane, but no, she doesn't fall asleep on the airplane. Every once in a while, you just hear her whining, but she's relatively fine. She's laying down. She's kind of underneath the front seat, whatnot. But my brother makes the mistake of, like, every once in a while, undoing the zipper a tiny bit, and poking his finger in there to kind of calm, pet her and calm her down, and it's not like this backpack is fully sealed off. It has vents where you can see her and stuff, relatively see her, put your hand up against her, say, hey, calm down, whatnot, and whatnot. Anyway, the stewardesses, we're on the flight, we're packed up, we're ready to go. The stewardesses are giving these are the exits, blah, 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 this and that. And Lyra starts whining a little bit again. So my brother unzips it just a tiny bit, goes to stick his finger in there to pet her.
Oh, no.
And suddenly, like a fucking alien movie, she just bursts out of the bag, just trying to get out. So there I am, and my brother, trying to shove her back into the bag as they're giving the safety briefings on the plane. We're just struggling to it must have been the weirdest sight of two grown men just trying to shove something back into a backpack. We finally get her back in there and don't have any issues for the rest of the flight. Get to where we're going. Like I said, she absolutely loved being there. I'm not going to get into the whole trip. It was not a vacation of going there. But coming back, we learned our lesson, at least with her. Gave her medication 3 hours before the flight, and she knocked out. Slept through the whole entire flight, which is where we almost felt like I was almost gonna die, because we're landing. We're probably just outside of Phoenix, and the pilot drops to some amount of altitude. According to my watch, it was like 1,300 feet or something like that. Obviously, it's not accurate, but it's somewhere around there. And we just hit turbulence for about 20 minutes straight.
Oh.
Of just straight turbulence. At one point, it felt like the plane dropped at least 50 to 100 feet. Just dropped. because I like literally grabbed the seat in front of me to just like, oh shit, some little girl threw up
Oh
like
no.
two rows ahead of us,
Oh no.
and we rode that in. And when we landed, my brother was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure we landed like sideways when we came in. That's how bad it was." And it was just like, I am so thankful to be back in Arizona and on the ground. This was the worst. Like I haven't flown a lot, but the few times I've had flown, we've had a little bit of turbulence. The pilot will be like, "Hey, we're gonna experience a little bit of turbulence here and there." Usually we're like mid-flight, and you're just like, bump 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 bump. Okay, you're good, and that's it. I don't even think he warned us. Like he's just like, okay, like the stewardess comes on and starts saying, "Hey, we're gonna start landing," and she even had to like stop because turbulence was getting so bad. She had to like stop, steady herself, and then she would continue with the, we'll be landing in like 15 minutes. The pilot has put the fasten seatbelt sign on and whatnot. Everybody, thank you for flying Allegiant. Hope to see you again. It's like, no, I hope not.
I hope to see anybody again.
Yeah, I hope to see everybody again, because I don't know if I'm going to survive this. It was funny, too. I didn't text you guys because I was just so thankful to be on the ground. And
Had to run to church.
Is that we flew right over Gunnison, and even the pilot pointed it out. It was like, and we're flying over Gunnison, Colorado. It was like, oh, cool, Paige.
Did he mention that fact that Gunnison was originally going to be the capital?
No, I don't think he did.
Yeah, that's their claim to fame. And then they realized, fuck this nonsense. This thing's way too cold and way too out of the way.
That must be pretty damn cold if Colorado people said that it's too damn cold.
Bro, that shit's fucking wild.
Damn.
When we were there, there was one day there was a 24-degree difference between like 4-hour difference away, like from each other. Like one was cold and then the one was Gunnison. And I was like, wow, that's different. Mm-hmm. Did I tell you the windshield wiper fluid froze in my car?
No.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like, I was worried it broke something because it wasn't working even on the way back. And I was like, I wonder if that ruptured something and just leaked out eventually. And then eventually it started working again. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Thank God, seriously, right? Because that'd have to be a pain in the ass, something to fix if it froze over.
Yeah, because like at that point I was like, do I know that you're not supposed to use, like, is there a certain, like, there's got to be like
some antifreeze mixture or something.
Yeah.
For windshield wipers. I think there actually is in colder climates, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I also have to buy a fucking windshield scraper. So that's fun for me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've never really lived much in a very cold environment. What the hell is this? How many people died at the Titanic? Wow. Okay, I got that. That's
Jesus
evil.
Christ.
Thanks, Mike.
Dude, the internet has been fucking on fire about this, dude. Someone posted the Simpsons episode where they take the submersibles down to the pirate ship wreckage.
Yeah.
Someone posted. So if you don't know, Joe, and we're not going to talk too much about this because I don't know all the details.
I know what's going on with it. I can literally see stories about it.
But did you know what they used to control the submarine?
I didn't even know Logitech still. Does Logitech still make those controllers, or was that just something that they found?
I think that's what it was.
Jesus Christ.
But someone posted a picture of it was like training to go see the Titanic, and it shows a picture of the game Subnautica and his Logitech controller.
Wow.
And then someone said, I have a Lego set idea, and it showed a picture of the Titanic.
Okay.
Picture of a submarine set, 5 skeletons in a like a giant fish tank.
Wow.
I was like, this is some savage shit, motherfuckers. He's just like, these
This
motherfuckers
is
are like,
savage because they still had air as of yesterday. I don't think they do anymore.
as of 7 a.m. this morning, they're supposed to have air still.
Okay.
I think it's East
Obviously,
Coast time,
that's
but
past.
yeah.
So it's a very not funny subject, but goddamn, the internet is just
Yeah, dude,
fucked
they
up,
are
man.
fucking roasting. But I those, it's sick to laugh at, but they were actually very humorous.
Yes, I get it. I mean, Lego does make skeletons and all that stuff anyway.
Yeah, and I was like, that's it's real clever, right away,
Real,
but
real clever, yeah.
fucked up, but real clever.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Let's see.
Oh no.
I honestly haven't been really paying attention to much news because of where I've been and what I've been doing.
It makes sense.
Gallivanting around fucking North Dakota.
South Canada.
Basically, what's going to be the last time that I'm pretty much ever going to go up there again. Did manage to run over a cinder block, is what I was told, and I destroyed. Well, I say destroyed, but like I blew a tire out.
Oh, good job, buddy. Proud of you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. I mean, it wasn't that scary or anything. It was one of those things where I was paying a little bit too much attention to the GPS, and the GPS was like, get in the left lane to take the 155.
That'll
And
teach
so I
you.
got in the left lane, and as I look at the sign, it says, okay, now exiting 156. And I was like, fuck you, GPS. And just as I was looking at that sign, suddenly just bam, fucking ran over a cinder block, is what I was told. Popped one of the front passenger tire. Luckily, in our rental, we had a donut to put on there. But apparently, if you put a donut on a tire on a car with 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, I should really say, you'll get errors if you go over like a certain speed. In which case, it starts to heat up the all-wheel drive differential. Apparently. Because that donut is smaller than the rest of the tires, so it's like trying to do more work than the other ones. Didn't know that, so that was a fun error. But that led into the fact that okay, it's like I can't take freeways now in order to get where we need to go from what ended up being the hotel to the airport. We were really close, but we were like 10-15 minutes by freeway, 28 minutes by side streets. So I throw my phone into avoid all highways mode, and everything worked out fine getting there. But when I got home, we took my car out to Mesa Gateway, and I just throw in the house address, and it's like, it'll take you 2 hours to get home. And I'm like, god damn fucking traffic, it's 5 o'clock, it's going to be packed on the I-10, whatever. Let's just go. And so we're driving, half an hour passes, and it's just my brother and I and the dog. And Adam's like, why didn't the GPS tell you to take the freeway over here? Because we're on like, what was it, like Baseline or something like that? I can't remember exactly. And he goes, oh, do you still have avoid all highways on? And I'm like, oh fuck, I still do. So I pull up my phone, I turn that off, I redo the directions, and it's like, it'll take you 45 minutes to get home. I'm like, god fucking damn it. We could have been like home by now.
Yep.
Even worse than it has us hop on to the I-10, takes us back to IKEA, to past IKEA, just to get on the 202, and take the 202 back to the I-10, I-10 to the whatever else we went. I think it ended up taking us from 101 to Northern to Dysart or Litchfield or something like that. Yeah. That was fun too.
Always fun.
Always fun. Oh, that reminds me. I did manage to watch. I will say, first off, I tried to catch up with you guys in the amount of movies that you guys watched.
Hell
while
yeah.
I was away, because you guys went and saw The Flash. You guys went and saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and then Transformers as well. We all know that I have I have access to Plex, and so I was looking to see what movies were available on there. And surprisingly, it was like, hey, Into the Spider-Verse is on here, and as well as Transformers. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, I could do a double feature on this. I'm not excited about Transformers, but I could at least watch Into the Spider-Verse on here, and catch up with you guys, and we could talk about it and have fun with it. So I literally had bought popcorn earlier that day. I'm like, I'm going to get me some popcorn, some soda. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to enjoy myself because my brother's literally already left by now this Saturday night. I'm going to watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I'm going to enjoy this time right now just to myself and the dog. Hit play on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and it starts playing. Starts going through it starts playing what's that song by Post Malone, Flower or
Sunflower.
Sunflower, and I'm
Yep.
like, interesting, same song as the first movie, but this is interesting. Okay, panning through his bedroom, and I'm like, okay, they're kind of mimicking what they did in the first movie. That's a very interesting choice of starting the movie. Keeps playing and playing, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is the first movie. And it just keeps hitting beat for beat the same beats as the first movie. And I even pause it, I back out, and I'm like, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Well, Into the Spider-Verse is the first movie.
Or what? Across the Spider-Verse.
Across Spider-Verse, yeah.
Across the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And I was like, okay. Hit play again. Keeps going. It's his first day of school. And I'm like, this is the first movie. I know this is the first movie. What the fuck? And I back out again, and I even search for Spider-Man, and it comes up Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. I select Across the Spider-Verse, and it's like, would you like to resume from where you last left off? And I hit play, and it's the same movie, and I was like, motherfucker. Someone uploaded the first movie as the second movie, probably to troll people. Fuck that person.
Yep.
So I lost all momentum to even try and watch Transformers as well, which you can, in a moment, let me know how you liked it. But instead, I decided to watch this. What's this? Oh, fuck. What's Thor's new movie on Netflix? Extraction 2.
Oh, okay.
Really good movie. I mean, it's basically like the first movie.
I hope so.
Up until one point, and it lost me at one specific point. I'll spoil it a little bit if you haven't watched, if you're okay with it.
I'm
it's
fine
not
with
much
it.
of a plot point because
It's Extraction 2. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, like the movie doesn't really have much of a plot. He's there he's resurrected. Like they start with showing how he was saved, and you're like, okay, he's basically resurrected from the dead. Here, whatever. There's not a whole much of a plot. He goes through rehabilitation in like fucking 10 minutes. But he's approached by, first off, I didn't know Idris Elba was in this movie.
Yeah, it was announced like the day before it came out. He was in it, and I was like, I'm in. I was in before, but now I'm in even more.
So he's approached by Idris Elba to extract this woman and her kids from this country. I don't remember what country it was. And he takes up the job because apparently he was like his ex-wife's. It's like his ex-wife's sister or something like that. Anyway, hilarity ensues, and he extracts the people. But this is where it lost me, and that's only because I hate this trope. They're clear. They've gotten away from the bad guys. They've got the extraction. They're in another country, in literally a high-rise building, and the fucking kid, who because they're trying to get away from her husband, essentially, who was like a part of this like mafia type thing. Is like, I really want to go back to my family and blah blah blah, and so he calls his uncle, who's like the head of this.
Uh-oh. We might have lost Joseph. Alright, hold on for a second, everybody. Alright, and we're back. Okay. There we
And
go.
we're back. Where was I?
Some about his uncle is the leader of some group or something in Extraction 2.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the kid's uncle is a leader of some mafioso type group, or I don't know. Like I said, the plot is there. You don't really pay much attention to the plot when you're watching these types of movies.
Nah.
And so the kid's just like, oh, I really want to go back to my family because they're the ones that love me, because his mom apparently doesn't love him enough to try and extract him out of fucking jail.
Jesus.
And so he calls his uncle, and his uncle's like, oh, we'll be there. And they literally fly gunships into like this other country to attack him inside this penthouse building. And it lost me there because I'm so sick and tired of that being a trope in movies, that the person that's rescued, or one of the people that's rescued, wants to go back, or doesn't believe they were in a bad situation to begin with. Like, they literally started out in jail. Like, their father was in jail, and they were in jail with him. And the mom was trying to get away from him because the dude was, like, part of this mafia type thing. Just a real bad person.
Just a real bad person.
And so it lost me there. But it did gain me back once that happened, and a little bit away, it gets a bit more away from that story, and we get back into the action. And then it literally, like, seems to turn into, like, The Division almost, because you have these guys that come in that are just, like, they have the body armor on the shoulders and the chest pieces, and they just look like those huge fucking dudes that you would, with the Gatling guns or the miniguns that you would run into The Division.
Yeah.
And it just got back into the action right there. And I was like, okay, this is dope. I really like this. I hate that storytelling right there. Whoever decided to go with that storytelling was fucking awful. Make another decision. Do something better. But everything after that was so awesome and just action packed and fun to watch. And then the ending, they basically left it open for more movies.
Hell yeah.
So I'm like, dope. I like this.
So don't kill him off at the end and have to resurrect him?
Exactly. Like, they literally even Idris Elba comes back and he's just like, hey, would you like to do another mission? And you get the impression that this is going to be like more than one mission. So we're hopefully going to see, the Extraction 3, 4, 5, whatever, going down the road.
I mean, I haven't watched the second one yet, but I'm down. I'm okay with it.
It's definitely worth a watch. It's a very fun movie, with the exception of that one plot point.
Yeah, I mean, that's when you're basing your movie around action sequences, it's probably gonna be some pretty plot light issues.
And it's fine. Like, I'm totally with being plot light. Like, there's even, because like I said, they go to another country. They get to another country. They're in a fucking high-rise building, and suddenly the bad guys show up in gunships, and the police do show up of whatever place this is. I don't remember where it is, and they try and deal with the situation, but eventually it's just like the plot just like gives up on the police, because they're just like, yeah, they were there, they got killed and annihilated, but no one else showed up. I'm like, you know what? Okay, whatever. I'm here for the action. I'm not here for the police action type thing.
I'm not here for the logistics
they just
of
forgot
it.
about them after that. They're like, they were there. They're all dead now. That is whatever it is. Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah. So I'm not going to ask you. I'll ask you, how was Flash to you? I don't want any spoilers, because I still do want to see the movie.
Yeah. No. I'll say this. It is a good time. It is fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Is it all that a certain person said it was, like the greatest comic book movie of all time or superhero movie, whatever his fucking quote was? No. There are lots of like. First off, the story. Not spoiling anything. Extremely easy to figure out. Maybe not. Maybe not for. I mean, I don't know how deep you are into Flash lore.
I'm huge into Flash lore, but I have read Flash Point.
Okay, you're gonna figure things out pretty quickly. That's not what this movie is about. If anyone says, "Oh, it ruined it for me because I figured," no, this movie is not about the story so much. It's about the events of the story, not the like that portion of it. So that's not what I'm complaining about. My problem with the movie, and I say that, is, and you've probably seen articles about this, the really lackluster CGI.
Yeah, that's the weird thing that to hear. Like you guys mostly afterwards were complaining about a few of the scenes of CGI.
So you and I both know in these large movies, there's some CGI that's just not doesn't look realistic enough, right?
Yeah.
And there's some in the stuff that the director Andy Muschietti has come out and talked about. Those scenes aren't the ones I complained about, and I don't want to say what they are because that leads into spoilery stuff, and I'm not going to do that for you.
Okay.
But there is a scene, and you already know this is a thing because you know that you've seen the trailers. There are two berries, right?
Yes.
There's a scene where there's multiple scenes where they're both together on camera.
Right.
But there's a scene when they're in one of the Barry's apartments,
Mm-hmm.
and one Barry is wearing the Flash suit, the other one's not. The one wearing the Flash suit is completely CGI'd. And I do not know why. Because there's other scenes in the movie where they're standing next to each other and one is in the suit and one is not. And it's not CGI'd. The only thing I can think of is a face swap. And I don't know why they did it that way.
When they were doing it some other way in the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Because there's, in this particular scene, they're like, I'm not going to say on top of each other, right? But like, there's this, like, so I'm one Barry. The other Barry is like right behind him, like this. Like my hand, people obviously listening to this can't see this, but my hand over my right shoulder is right there. So they're in the scene together, but this one is just horribly CG'd. Like, you're going to see this show up on Quarter for sure. Like,
okay.
it's
bad CGI.
really bad. Like, there's scenes in this movie that have, like, extremely bad CG. Like, just obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, right? And there's one scene in particular at the beginning of the movie, and you'll see it, and you're going to be like, wow, that's... I don't know how else you would do this because of what it is, and again, I'm not going to spoil it. It's not a huge thing, whatever, but you're like, okay, I get it, whatever. You can't do that with real human beings. Okay, cool. Then there's other scenes where, like, in Andy's defense of why those scenes, like certain scenes are bad CG, is because they're from the point of view of Barry at the time, and which kind of makes sense, and I understand it. Is it great? No, whatever. But then there's these scenes where, like, they replace somebody, and it's horribly done. But then there's other aspects that are, like, immaculate and look amazing. It's just, I don't know, it's very bizarre. The movie's fun. It's a good time. I highly recommend watching it, especially if you're a fan of DC movies, past and present, obviously. Dope cameos all over, cool Easter eggs thrown in there. The story is as much as it needs to be. Is it the best superhero film ever made? Not even fucking close. Is it a great Flash movie? Yes, but also no, because it goes so far from just being a Flash movie to being a vehicle for cameos that it's borderline at one point, like, kind of like, I would have liked to see a Flash-centric movie versus like
only.
Yeah, like versus like a Cliff Notes of Flashpoint, because that's essentially what this is. So, and I don't want, I mean, actually, I can ruin that for you. It's not ruining for you. You already know he's in it. So, apparently, and I don't know how true this is because no one's going to be able to confirm it outside of a few people. Apparently, the original plan for Keaton's Batman in this was to be Thomas Wayne.
which would make sense.
which is closer to the Flashpoint.
Yeah.
But they thought it would be too confusing because he already played Batman in another movie.
Yeah.
And then they said, "Oh, you know what we'll do was lean into him being Batman." Yeah. And my only problem with that is, right, like, I guess this is sort of a spoiler, but you won't mind. Well, actually, no, you probably prefer this from the trailer, but the second Barry is a younger version by a few years.
Yeah. Okay.
But somehow Keaton's Batman is older than Batfleck. By, like, a lot. I know they aged Ben up quite a bit in the movie for, like, gray hair or whatever. But, like, visually, it's kind of, like, unnerving. If they would have been the other way, if he went to, like, because in the story, again, not going to spoil it for you, there's a reason why he's stuck where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
But it would have been better if he went into the future, because then it would make more sense for him to be older.
Gotcha.
Because he's visually so much older. Because, I mean, obviously, Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton are not the same age.
Right.
But yeah, that's the only thing that really kind of irked me. I was like, I'd rather have that be the other way. But I understand why, because of the story they did. But I would have rather him being Thomas, because the age difference would have made more sense.
Yeah.
And it would have been dope to see, like, a super violent, gun-wielding Thomas Wayne versus, you know, it's an old rundown. Because he's very much Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne in this.
He looks like it, yeah.
Than he is just being Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I digress.
Okay.
Enjoyable. Don't be like, oh, like the shoddy CG is not gonna, like, ruin the movie for you, but a couple times it will take you out and be like, oh, that's rough.
And that's the weird thing about a lot of the DC movies. They always have that one or two scenes of CG where you're just like, why?
Yeah.
Why was this so bad? What company did this?
Yeah. And I'm not even talking about the fucking mustache gate. Like, that's a whole different fucking issue.
That's a whole different thing, obviously. I mean, it's still bad because the worst part about that is you could see how, and obviously Corridor crew, we talked about a little bit for a second there. You know, they went back and they went and fixed a lot and fixed that with cheaper materials. Obviously, I'm not saying they're cheaper, but like they were able to fix it for less.
Yeah.
Than what was originally done. And you sit there and you go, how can these guys in probably one afternoon do so much better a job than a guy who probably spent a week or so fixing it?
And I think
professionally, I don't understand that.
I don't remember if it was Cordo who said it, or I know we said it one time before, but someone else said it too. It's like, they did such a shoddy job with that mustache scene for something that didn't need to be in the movie.
Yeah.
And, like, you could have just cut that or not make it at all because it wasn't in the original whatsoever. It was added by Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
That you didn't need. Like, it had no context whatsoever. Because, like, if you didn't already know Superman was a hero to all, you've never seen a Superman movie. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't need that. Like, that scene had no context further into the movie.
Yeah, it didn't.
It didn't need to be there. I don't know why they made it, you know? But when you're under contract, you have to do things that they tell you to do. And unfortunately, he did it.
But going from one CGI spectacular to another,
yeah.
How was Transformers?
So, Transformers, I will say this. I enjoyed it. My number one complaint for all these movies is too many squishy people.
Which is fair. Go ahead and spoil this movie all you want. I'm actually curious about the end credit scene.
Okay, so have you read about the end credit scene?
Yeah, I remember I teased you about what I knew. What little bit I knew was, I'll say the little bit that I read, because I wasn't too interested in reading all of it, but that it was hinting at bringing in G.I. Joe.
Well, not hinting.
The Transformers universe.
Not hinting.
Okay.
Blatant. And I'll get to it. I'll give you Cody's quick rundown of the movie.
Okay.
When I say quick, I ramble, so may not be that quick.
Which is fine. I literally just want you to hit the beats of like, where does this fit into the timeline? How does this fit into the timeline? Because from those little things that I've read, it makes no goddamn sense.
All right, so have you seen Bumblebee?
Yes, I've seen Bumblebee.
Okay, so you know how Bumblebee kind of resets things and like kind of reboots it all?
Yes, because it kind of takes place before the events of the first trilogy or quadrilogy or whatever
Yeah,
the
right.
movies were.
So I firmly believe that movie and this one, Rise of the Beasts, eradicate the past Transformers movies.
So we're essentially getting rid of all the things that we've done before.
Yes.
Okay.
The reason why, because if you remember Bumblebee, he is on Earth previously, and then the other Autobots show up,
Exactly.
which kills off the first movie, the first Transformers movie,
Right.
the Michael Bay one, not Transformers the movie,
Right. From back in 1980 something.
Yeah.
Early 90s, whatever it was.
80s.
80s, yeah.
I'm not talking about that, because that actually has a lot to do with this new one, which is because of Unicron, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing that made me laugh about this is, do you remember the plot of the one with Leonard Nimoy, The Fallen?
Not very well. I remember something about Nimoy's character was an Autobot, but basically deceived them at the same time building something that would bring Unicron.
No, bring Cybertron.
Bring Cybertron to Earth, and basically joined up with the Decepticons in order to do that. That was the kind of basic idea.
Okay.
But that was also one of the first movies that they introduced the more squishy, militarized. This is how we take out Transformers.
Yeah, which made no sense because like you could do that in other. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So in this movie, you still have squishy people, and they're still reliant on them for some fucking strange reason. And I'll get to that whole fucking thing in a minute. That's just it's plot holes fucking heavy, and you know I hate that fucking word. But there's some utter garbage plot holes in this fucking movie when it comes to the squishy people. Anywho, so the movie starts in 1994.
Okay.
Right, I think is what it was. Anyhow, 90s. Fantastic. They use 90s music, hip hop and stuff in it. Fantastic, right? Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. The movie starts off not on Earth. It starts off on the planet that the Maximals live on. The Maximals are what everyone refers to as the Beast Wars, which is dumb because that's not what they are. Beast Wars was the show about Maximals and the Terracon. Anyhow, so it shows up them, and Unicron shows up, sends his forces down. They are there for something. You find out it's essentially a warp key. Allows you to open up subspace and move from one part of the galaxy or universe to another instantaneously, right? Okay. Some would almost say like MacGuffin style, but it's actually explained in the movie, so it's not MacGuffin. Later on, it's explained in the movie. At the beginning, you're like, well, that's just a weird way to move this plot forward. And it is in a way, but like it has a reason. So they you meet Optimus Primal. You meet all the different the different Maximals. There's a fight where the leader of the Maximals sacrifices himself and blah 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 to basically help the other ones escape with this key to get away from Unicron, because Unicron wants this because he's slow and it's taking forever for him to get more and more food, and as he gets more powerful it takes more food and blah blah blah, right? So he wants this key to be able to go from or galaxy to galaxy, eating or whatever he wants, right?
Gotcha.
So they need to stop him, so they take and run away with the key, using it to escape, right? Jumps to New York. You get your first introduction to the squishy people. They throw in some of the squishy people reasons why they're doing things, like this guy's you find out he's former military, but he was basically like dishonorably discharged because of things and all sorts of stuff, whatever family. It's not like he like shot somebody or did really bad things, just didn't listen to orders, blah blah blah, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Sets up the story for him. His brother has sickle cell anemia. His mom is a single mother who's working and trying to go to school to better their situation. He's trying to find a job, but it's hard because, well, his past military, things like that. Whatever. He's a whiz with electronics and things like that. He gets kind of into some trouble, and that's when he basically ends up stealing Mirage. Trying to steal Mirage. Another plot hole is Mirage, like, he hotwires Mirage and it wakes Mirage up, and that's when he starts hearing the call from Optimus when the shit's going down. Like, it's very bizarre, like, how is...
shouldn't be able to hotwire a transformer.
Thank you, right? Like, that's the whole thing, is like...
They don't transform into actual vehicles, they just there are robots in disguise.
Yeah.
They look like these vehicles.
Yeah, so, like, he shouldn't be able to hotwire, but he does. Like, he literally hotwires, and I was like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense.
You would think that Mirage, like... I get what you're saying, because even in the first movie, one of the first movies, they set up the fact that there are certain Transformers in the second movie, I think it was, that they have been there for a while, just hiding in plain sight.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that sort of thing, and I was like, well, okay, whatever, right? Because it would have made more sense if he got in the car and like was like, wait a minute, hold on, this doesn't have the normal, like, this doesn't have the stuff. But also when he walks up to a Porsche and sees that it has not a Porsche logo but an Autobots logo on it, he should be like, well, that's not right. That's not right. Whatever. I digress. So that basically introduces Mirage and this new squishy person. He ends up bringing him to the meeting of the Autobots because of the other squishy person accidentally activated the key, and it sends a signal that only the Autobots can see because it's a frequency that's beyond human sight, which makes sense because they're robots and technology, blah blah blah, right?
Yeah, sure.
But you find out you don't ever find, like, well, we know if you've seen Bumblebee, you know when the Autobots got there, right? And you realize there's other Autobots throughout the years, blah blah blah, whatever, right? And so you go, and they basically say, hey, we need your help to get into this museum because you're a thief, and you can sneak into places better than we can because we're giant, big robots. Except for RC, who is slightly bigger than the humans because she can fit inside a Volkswagen minibus with very little problems.
Right, because she transforms into like a scooter or a motorcycle or something.
A motorcycle, like a Ducati in this movie, yeah.
Ducati, yeah. But that's what I mean. Like, she is small enough to...
Yeah.
Yeah, she's human size. Yeah.
Yeah, like she's like an NBA player size.
Yeah.
And I was like... But she can...
She can go in there and you just confuse people. Like, what the fuck is that humanoid thing walking around?
Yeah, and like, they're going in at night, right? Like, when it's supposed to be closed with nobody in it. Why don't you just send the human-sized robot in to get the thing?
And I'm sure it wouldn't be too much for you to ask to, like, just disable security stuff as you go.
But also, they're robots who can disable electronics.
That's what I mean. Like,
so they could just
send her in. You don't need the squishy person. You can send her in, and as you go, you're just disabling cameras and stuff so that no one sees this larger than human, but still small robot walking around.
And here's the other part. They don't know what the key looks like, but they can see the frequency of light, which means they can see what's emanating the light.
So you would be able to easier see what is emanating the light rather than the human person. So
who doesn't know what he's looking for.
How is he supposed to know what he's looking for? Even he can't detect it. So how do they find it?
The girl that's in the movie is an archaeologist, and she's the one that accidentally activates it. But they don't even tell you how. She's just doing something because it's buried in a statue, whatever, right? And she doesn't. She hits it with this infrared light, or basically like a scanner thingy that basically makes it crumble. So that makes you think, oh, whatever the frequency that light is activated the key, which is fucking
Okay.
ridiculous, but whatever, right? But that signal also goes up, and the Terracons who've been searching around see it, and they are the ones that come, blah blah blah, right? They kill Bumblebee. In that fight, I'm just gonna tell you right now.
Wow.
It is. I'm not lying you. Extremely sad.
Yeah.
Like it is. It's fucking brutal, dude. Because the bad guy in it, who by the way is played by voiced by Peter Dinklage,
Nice.
makes me laugh because he's bigger than Optimus Prime. His name is Scourge in it. He is devastating, and he's stronger and more powerful than like even Prime is and all stuff because he's imbued with dark ability or like basic dark energy from Unicron.
Okay.
Which is fine. It's space magic. It's fine with me. It's whatever, right? So he ends up killing B, and it's fucking traumatizing because he keeps badges of the other
Things that he's killed.
and he puts them on him, and so when he transforms into his tow truck, they're actually on the grill.
Damn.
It's fucking savage. So he rips the emblem off of Bumblebee's head.
Damn.
Bro, dude, I'm telling you, like how like Thanos ripped the fucking the Mind Stone out of Vision. It's like that, dude, but it's like a corpse at that point.
Damn.
And you're like,
So does he come back for the sequel?
so that's the cool part. So if you remember your Transformers lore, which you may not remember,
No, not lore.
Energon can bring Transformers back.
Oh yes, I do remember. That's how they bring back Optimus Prime.
Yes.
The original OG cartoon
Yep.
movie.
But you need a ton of energy to do so,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So that happens later on in the movie, and I'll explain that, right? And to us Transformers nerds, me being one of them, when they tell you what is happening, I was like, oh, cool, that's how he's coming back. Awesome. Cool. So you're not going to leave Bumblebee dead. Like, that's just...
Yeah, no. This
Bro.
is like everybody's second favorite, if not most favorite character.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you. Yeah. So I knew he was coming back, and then once they said that, I was like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen because of this thing and whatever, right? Cool.
Yeah.
So they get saved by one of the Maximals who's drawn to the thing. Fighting curs, blah blah blah, right? Back and forth. They're like, okay, we gotta go. They find out that that's only half the key. So because the Terracons win, they get the key, they leave. But they can't open the gate properly because they only have half the key, and the Maximals are smart enough to separate the key to prevent that one thing. So if they find it,
Good.
they do it, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is the thing that one of the many plot holes. If you were hiding something, Joe, would you build in clues to where it's at?
No, this isn't Uncharted. I'm not trying to build clues to let somebody someday find out where things are. I'm literally just gonna throw it into a sun and just be like, done.
Right? Or
Yeah.
hide it with no clue where you hid it,
And
or
that's what
hide
I
it
mean,
somewhere
like-
where someone can't get to it.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Obviously, its material is like very strong. Maybe buried at the bottom of a volcano.
Volcano, I was thinking like if you have some sort of transformer that could just like dig to the center of a planet and just be like, bam, dude,
Boop.
it is now at the center of this planet. Whatever energy it might be emitting, it's gonna have a hard time emitting it through all of that.
Or
Yeah,
or
and
being
I'm not gonna
activated
sit
by
here and,
said
like-
energy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and leave fucking clues on where to find it.
Okay, here's one step further. If you have the ability to separate them, right?
Why only do 2 pieces? Why don't you do
Nope.
like 4? No.
But why put them on the same planet?
Yeah, that's the other question.
You
Like,
are a
put one on
you
one
are a
planet.
space-faring group. You could, even if you put them on 2 different planets in the same galaxy, fine. But why would you put them on the same planet?
If you were to put them on 2 different planets, and you're just choosing at least one of them at random, that you just drop it off, you could probably even just leave it on the surface of the planet. And as long as there's no records of you going there and you don't leave any clues of being there, it's damn near impossible to find it after that.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
so the human, the military one, he's very upset because he finds out that they find out Unicron's sending the Terracons here to get it so he can come and devour planets in this galaxy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which to all would mean, hey, that's not great, right?
Yeah.
Optimus sees it as a way for them to be able to get back to Cybertron.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's in a far reaches of the universe and they don't have means to get there because of where they're at, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm completely fine with that. It's a motivation to get his people, his family, essentially. It's all about family. To back home, right? Where they can prosper, they can keep the war going, or whatever it is they want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. The human wants to destroy it because if he destroys it, they can't bring Unicron across.
Which makes sense.
It does, until you think about this. If you were to reunite it, you, like them, the Autobots and the humans, get the Autobots with the key off Earth,
Yeah.
Unicron wouldn't need to come here yet. Because he would still need the key to do that. That's the reason he needs... That's why he sent the Terracons out to find it, so he can traverse the universe faster.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm getting at, Joe? Like, if you...
what you're getting at. Like, they keep the key. He still can't get here.
And you can get the giant war machines off your planet.
Yeah.
Because they're more dangerous, even trying to protect you against other dangerous giant robots. When they're not here, their war goes somewhere else.
My only concern about that is that the Terracons still want the key.
Of course.
So they're going to still come to try and get it.
But if it's not on Earth, that doesn't affect...
So you're talking about taking the key off Earth
like,
anyway. Okay, yeah.
Optimus and the Autobots take the key, open a portal, go back to Cybertron with the key. They can fight their war how they want.
Yeah, and Earth has nothing to do with it anymore because there's nothing of use for the Terracons there.
So why don't you try to help? And this is a former military person who should know the consequences of war and what it can do to someone.
A war to an innocent civilization that can't defend itself. Let's take it back to where we live.
Yeah, like, and that's what Optimus wants to do. He wants to take his group and go back to Cybertron to free their homeworld.
Yeah.
And this piece of garbage wants to destroy one of their only ways home.
Okay, I understand what you're saying with that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we're on the same page.
So that's a huge issue, right?
Fair.
Whatever. Again, plot devices to move the story forward. So he gets an opportunity at one point, skipped a bunch of shit that doesn't matter, to destroy the half a key they have. And Optimus talks him out of it in a very normal human way, or a very humane way, saying, hey, and explains to him, we want to use this key to get off your planet. Makes sense, right? Yeah. So then he goes,
we're the good guys, we're leaving,
yep.
Bye-bye, taking everything with us.
So he sees that, he's like, okay, cool, awesome, right? Yeah, the Terracons use that opportunity to steal the other half of the key.
Cool.
Because now they have both halves.
Cool.
Now this is where a lot more cool shit starts happening, because then they have this machine that basically will then transform into a gateway for this key. Been designed for millennia. It's not like let's put it here and just build itself. They tell you, hey, they've been planning this for decades and eons or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So the other Maximals are there, but we have to go stop them. But the only way to stop them is the vents aren't big enough for Transformers to get into, but they can fit humans.
No vents should be able to fit humans anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they should only be able to fit, like, one of those, like, little guys. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, little, but whatever. Doesn't matter. And they even prove the fact that RC could have fit in that, too, because the grating that they're looking through is, like, 10 feet tall. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, so many problems with this. If you would have said, hey, there's like this, the humans are small enough and out of sight to be able to go along this, like, the side of this piece, not inside of it, along the side to sneak to the other side of where the key's at to, like, whatever, right? But also, there's a key needed to basically deactivate the key from when it's being in use.
Mm-hmm.
And conveniently enough, the only one of the Maximals who ends up dying, she was the only one that knew the sequence. But the archaeologist girl figured it out because of the symbols that were on the statue the first part of the key was hidden in, and the other place where the key was originally hidden.
Gotcha.
Which was in a temple accessed by them because of Autobot symbols on a ruin. It's so dumb. It's the stupidest, and it's just in the open. It's not even have to do much research. The pictures are there. They just have to align them to make the thing open up. And when they escape, they go through a giant hole in the back of the temple that you can see light through, which means they didn't have to go through that door. They could have just said, hey,
on the other side.
This is where it's at. We could have just gone in this open hole. We didn't have to blow a hole in. Go in this, and it's actually closer than we were when we came through the complicated entrance up top.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Anywho.
Yeah.
So dumb. So they have to work as a team, the Maximals and the Autobots, against the Terracons as a distraction for the humans to go through the human-sized vents that are way bigger than humans to deactivate the key. Well, the Terracons aren't stupid, and they see that they're in there, so they start to attack him. Mirage shows up to try to save the squishy human. He ends up dying, but before he does that, he basically somehow converts himself into the accelerator suit that the guy wears that makes him look like a smaller version of Mirage, which I thought was very cute. Because somehow it shrunk the parts down to make it look the same. Dumbest thing in the world. Anyways, he uses that accelerator suit. Mind you, the accelerator suit does not make him more powerful, because that would have fucking threw me off a fucking ledge. Doesn't make him powerful enough to defeat Scourge.
That would make sense, yeah.
Yeah, it just makes him enough more than a human and on the same par almost as an Autobot to help this as well. Anyhow.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, comes down to a big fight. It turns out that when they activated the key, which they were trying to stop them from doing, it sent out an energy surge.
Okay.
That activated the Energon on Earth.
Okay.
Guess where they had Bumblebee stashed?
In a pile of Energon.
On a giant reserve of Energon. Activated and brought him back.
Cool.
And so super dope, and I knew it was going to happen, so it wasn't like, oh my god, I'm so surprised.
Right?
Yep. It's just it's foreshadowing, and it's paying off. That's all it really was. It wasn't clever, and it was in a way it was sort of clever because it's like we know what Energon can do because it created the Transformers. Spoiler alert. But also one of the cool things is they don't specifically say this, but you infer it if you know things. They I can't remember the name they used for him, but the big plane they used to move the Transformers from one place to another. Mm-hmm. Big military style plane, right? Propeller, big ass fucking cargo plane, right? He's really run down, and like one of his engines is smoking, blah blah blah, right? Because he's been here for a long time, and they don't have the way to fix themselves because they don't have Energon. Well, they have Energon, but they don't have powered Energon. Mm-hmm. So he's the one hanging out with Bumblebee at his gravesite, right? Well, the next time you see him, he's fixed up, and they don't mention it. They just show it. And I was like, that's actually a pretty cool detail that if you're not paying attention, you wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
Because now he's not smoking out of one of the engines and rattling a bunch. He's in tip-top shape again. I was like, that's actually pretty fucking cool. Anyhow, so we go back to the fight, blah, blah, blah. Good guys win. Optimus is about to sacrifice himself. And they don't give up on him, so they go after him. And he basically smashes... he fucks Scourge up. It's fucking awesome. He goes beast mode and starts fucking him up. And he's like, hey, I can't destroy you, but you know what can? Lava. Mm-hmm. and this volcano that you created with your stupid machine here has lots of lava, so I'm gonna fuck you up. So they fucking kill him, and it's fucking awesome.
Nice.
But then he gets like, he doesn't die, but he gets fucked up. I think he does die. Yeah, he does, because he says this is for B and kills him. Anyways, B comes down, blah blah blah, all fun stuff. They end up saving Prime. He gets pretty fucked up, but like obviously, they can kind of fix him, whatever.
Yeah.
But then they all's good and good, blah blah blah. They say, hey, do whatever. Jumps to the end credit scene. Or I'm sorry, it jumps to the end of doesn't jump, but it progresses further back. He's back at home. He's going for another job interview, and he goes to this mechanic place. And he's like, hear him for the interview. Bring him in. The guy starts talking to him, and he basically just hints that like he knows that he was with Autobots, the Transformers, and he's like, "But how do you know I was in Peru?" And he's like, "Oh, we know you and your friends were there, blah blah blah." And I'm in my brain, I'm thinking, bro, if you don't say G.I. Joe, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. If you say it's your shadow organization, I'm like, I'll fucking, I will burn this theater to the fucking ground with everyone in it. I don't give a fuck, except for me and my friends. We'll leave. But I'll lock the doors.
Question before you continue was whether or not they would try and pull a strategic homeland, extra blah blah blah, logistics blah blah blah, and you're just like, the fuck is that? And you're like, oh, it's we'll just call it SHIELD.
Yeah, no.
They would be like, we're the general infantry. Something, make it an acronym, and you're just like, the fuck? And he's like, but we were called G.I. Joe. And I'd be like, oh, we're like making this something in an acronym rather than just calling ourselves G.I. Joe, because when you really think about it, it really doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, no, it's literally.
So I'm curious to see how they used it here.
No, so they actually do it in a very classy way.
Uh-huh.
So the guys like telling him all this stuff. Hey, you have a lot of skills that we would like to utilize, you and your friends, but you particularly, we have a spot for you because you're good with electronics and blah blah stuff like this, because they know his military background and they've followed him along.
Electronics.
So he has a code name in this that his brother gave him,
and that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. But I don't know. There's way too many fucking G.I. Joes.
Yeah. So they don't give him a nickname in this, but they do definitely lead towards he's probably going to be in more of these. But his brother calls him Sonic, and he calls his brother Tails because his brother's it's the mid-90s. He's obsessed with video games. So that's just his code name they use over the radio, and that's kind of how they play towards the thing. And this is what it rock hard, Joe. I'm telling you, at this point, I am just engorged in nerd boner right now, dude. He's talking about this. I'm like, in my brain, I'm thinking, don't freak out, because you're gonna get yourself excited. It's not gonna happen, right? And then he leaves him his card on the table. He says, if you're interested, let us know. And he walks over to the wall and he goes, but your brother was right. And you're like, he's like, what do you mean? He's like, no real names over the radio. And he clicks a button on the wall, and it opens up, and it's a facility, like a lab, like straight up right out of fucking G.I. Joe, dude. And they're doing investigation on, like, you can see it's like Transformer tech and other stuff. Super advanced lab, dude. It's fucking gnarly. And the guy, the squishy humans from the movie, looks down, picks up the business card, flips it over, and that's when the camera sees the G.I. Joe logo with G.I. Joe below it.
Nice.
And I was just fucking solid, dude. And then the mid-credit scene doesn't do anything different. Just has him working on something, and his buddy who basically got him into the car theft thing earlier in the movie joins me. He's like, hope he's like, what are you doing with all these parts? It took me forever to get this. He's like, oh, don't worry, it's better than what it was before. And you can see re-pieced together a fucking Porsche looks like ass. And he goes, we're not gonna be able to sell this for as much money as the other one. He goes, oh, we're not here to sell it. Isn't that right, Mirage? And Mirage comes back together and transforms out of camera, like kind of out of the way. But you can see he's got a different color scheme now, and he's back because he was able to rebuild him using the Energon and obviously the parts and stuff. Because they don't specify the parts were for a Porsche; they were just parts he needed for this. So leading that Mirage should be back for the sequel along with this guy, and it's probably gonna be a GI Joe and Transformers movie because they fucking told us that's GI Joe. Yeah. So that's it. Was it great? No. Was it fun? Yes. Is it something you need to rush to the theater to watch? No, you can watch it at home just fine. Action sequences are dope. They don't really rely too much on the humans fighting them. Other than once he gets the accelerator suit, but like I said, he's not much of he literally almost gets his ass handed to him against Scourge until Prime shows up, and then Prime just goes fucking beast mode and just decimates the shit out of him. He's like, fuck it, I'll take you out with me. And I was like, oh shit, Optimus, goddamn. Yeah, just super fun. Unicron's awesome, and they do hint at the fact that he can transform into a giant robot. It's fucking cool, and he's fucking terrifying, dude. It's fucking rad. And they don't do a fucking Galactus type thing with him where they basically like they don't subterfuge. He's just a giant fucking planet shaped transformer, and he fucking eats planets, dude. Like he just gobbles them up, gets there, sinks his fucking things in, starts breaking up and sucking it inside. Bro, it's dope. I was like, they also don't make him bright orange, like they did. They made him like more of like metal, like the Transformers are before they take their forms. You know, like they're just kind of like that. Like we look like robots, like he's like that. But the best part is when Scourge talks to him, it's through a hologram thing on this like holodeck thing that he does. And at first, you see that like almost eyeball looking design. You know what I'm talking about. You can see the shape in my hand. I don't know what that fucking shape is called. But then when it pans out, you can see he's actually talking to the giant head inside. And I was like, oh, if this motherfucker transforms this movie, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. He never does, but I was like, oh, because he can't, because the portal doesn't get big enough for him to get through yet. He's just right on the precipice. And then they're like, no, fuck you, hi Lyra. And then they smash the thing and the fucking blah, you know. It's pretty fucking cool. It's a cool aesthetic. Besides the glaring plot holes from Squishy People, the Squishy People weren't the biggest problem with it. They were the biggest set of plot holes in it, but that's because you're trying to utilize the humans somehow. But when they walked out of that fucking underground temple that she discovered, and they somehow had a schematic of it so dumb before they went in, but then not before they went, when they were in there, because he gave him this little like thing on his hand that he uses as a blaster, which they didn't tell him, which is hilarious, but it had like a flashlight on it and like scanner and blah blah blah. They were using that to track him, obviously, to keep him protected, but then it gave him the layout of the thing, and then he's like used that to say, oh, we can get out of this giant gaping hole over here that's covered by a waterfall. And I was like,
couldn't just use that to begin with.
You have scanning tape, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, so fun. Was it the best Transformers movie? No. But if you enjoyed Bumblebee, you will enjoy this. Uh-oh. Joseph. Buddy. I lost Joe again. Joe. Uh-oh. Oh no. Well, that might be it, everybody. Joe is not here anymore. I have a spinning wheel. Alright, well, more difficulties with our video call here. But anyways, that was it for this week's episode of Comes Naturally. He was Joe. I have been Cody. And as usual, you fuckers just came naturally.